a couple of minutes. I will give a couple of minutes more to start, just to wait for the rest of the people. Please note, everyone, we are recording the session. Okay, so it's 2 minutes past 5, so I think we can start now. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. We have people from all around the world, which is great. And the first thing I want to is to wish every female participant a happy Women's Day. What a better way to spend at least 2 hours of this special day with leaders, other women leaders on project management. So thank you for coming. And our event From Vision to Victory, Women Leading Projects That Matter, is starting now. I want to share with you the agenda for today. We have a brief introduction from Olaya Garcia Perez, who's the president of the PMI Galicia Spain chapter. Then we have 5 participants, 5 speakers today. Eileen Captain, who's founder, consultant, and trainer for the PY Academy. Fabiola Slongos-Virowski, who's project manager and specializes in PM implementations, client-facing delivery, agile and Kanban, and process and systems optimization. Emily Cormier, who's a sustainability lead for the City of Sault Ste. Marie. Josefina Alonso Nocelo, who's a COO for Digital Innovation Hub for the Galician industry, Digigal, and an agile expert at Vitae Digital. And we have Amanda Palazón, who's CEO and founder of the Change Management Expert Instituto de Gestión del Cambio SL, Grupo IMM. So this is our agenda for today. And before I hand over to Olaya, I want to, thank everybody that is participating on the event. I want to thank also the team that has worked with me organizing this event. I want to thank Belkis Hernandez, Nieve Hernandez, and Juan Pablo Caro, who have been collaborating very hard to have this event. Without the help of them, this wouldn't have been possible. And then I also want to thank Olaya because she created the event, and thanks to her, we are all here together. So with no more delay, Olaya, I want to hand over to you. Stop sharing my
Thank
screen.
you. Thank you very much, Nelly. I hope that you all hear me well. Hello, and welcome. It is a real pleasure to be here with all of you today for this special International Women's Day 2026 event, From Vision to Victory, Women's Leading Projects That Matter. Today, we come together not only to celebrate women's leadership, but also to recognize something even more powerful, which is the impact of women who have or who are transforming the present and that are shaping the future through projects, decisions, innovation, and purpose-driven action. Because leadership is not only about having ideas, is about turning vision into reality. It is about driving change and that truly matters, and it is about doing so with courage, commitment, and excellence. That is exactly what this event represents. And at PMI Galicia chapter, we love to promote leadership, diversity, and professional development in project management by organizing these kinds of events. As a chapter, we strongly believe that creating international spaces for dialogue and learning, where role models are made visible, knowledge is shared, and a more inclusive, human-centered, and transformative professional community can continue to grow. I am honored to have with us five remarkable women who are leading change across industry, innovation, and organizational transformation. Women who are not simply talking about the future, but are actively building it. Amanda, Eileen, Josefina, Emily, and Fabiola, thank you very much for accepting this challenge today. And each of them brings an unique perspective, a strong professional journey, real world experience leading projects that generate value, transformation, and impact. So, throughout this session, we will explore themes that are deeply relevant for the world we live today. We will reflect on the future of leadership in a world shaped by AI, agility, and the enduring power of human leadership. And we will consider a moral strategic leadership as a compass for delivering projects that truly matter. We will look beyond compliance and reporting to understand how women leaders are driving real impact beyond the ESG frameworks. And these conversations are timely, they are necessary, and above all, they are practical. Because this event is not about abstract ideas or distant theories. It is about real leaders facing real challenges and delivering real results. On a day like International Women's Day, it is important to celebrate achievements, but it is equally important to celebrate the spaces like this one, spaces for visibility, learning, inspiration, and connection. Spaces where we can see leadership in action, spaces where experience becomes shared knowledge, and spaces where the next generation of women leaders can find references, encouragement, and momentum. Women are long been leading projects that transform organizations, communities, industries, and societies, but their work has not always received the visibility it deserved. Events like these help change that. They remind us that leadership has many styles, many voices, and many paths, and that all of them matter. So today, I invite everybody joining us online to listen actively, reflect deeply, and engage openly. So take notes, ask questions, be inspired, and think about how the ideas shared today can help you lead your own projects with greater courage and impact. To all of our speakers, thank you for being here and for sharing your expertise, your experiences, and your leadership with us. To all our volunteers, thank you so much for making this event possible. And to all attendees, thank you for being part of this community and for joining us in this celebration of women leading projects that matter. Let us begin this inspiring session together. Welcome and happy International Women's Day to all of you. So Nelly, the floor is yours. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Olaya, for that introduction. And our first speaker is Eileen Captain. So Eileen is a sustainability-focused project management professional with extensive experience leading complex projects at the intersection of infrastructure, organizational transformation, and long-term value creation. Her work centers on translating sustainability commitments into real measurable impact through project leadership. With a background spanning from architecture, large-scale development, and international collaboration, Eileen brings a systems perspective to project delivery, integrating ethical decision-making, stakeholder awareness, and a future-oriented thinking into practical execution. She's a strong advocate for embedding ESG principles into everyday project decisions rather than treating sustainability as a reporting exercise. Eileen speaks and trains globally on sustainable project management, leadership, and impact-driven delivery. Her work emphasizes the role of project leaders in shaping resilient organizations and building a more responsible future through the projects they lead. So I will leave with you, Eileen Captain. The name of her presentation is Beyond ESG Reporting, How Women Project Leaders Drive Real Impact. So over to you, Eileen.
Thank you, Nelly. Thank you, Olala. I will share my presentation right now.
Okay.
Okay, can you see it?
We can see it, yes. And
Okay.
before you start, please, I just want to tell everyone, you are welcome to please write any question on the chat. And after Eileen completes her presentation, she will be responding any question. Thank you. Over to you.
Hello, everyone, again, and thank you, PMI Galicia Spain chapter, for bringing us together on this important day. It is a real honor to be speaking on International Women's Day, a day that reminds us not only of progress achieved, but of impact still to be created. Because today is not only about representation, it is about responsibility. Responsibility to lead, responsibility to influence decisions, responsibility to shape the future of our projects, our organizations, and our communities. And that is why I want to speak about something I deeply believe in. Not ESG reports, not frameworks, not promises, but impact, real impact. Let me start with a question. If ESG reports disappear tomorrow, would sustainability still live in your organization? Today, we will explore how women leaders are driving real, tangible impact in sustainability by going beyond traditional ESG reporting. ESG is often treated as a compliance exercise. Reports, tables, and metrics help organizations measure performance, but they rarely drive meaningful change on their own. Reporting measures performance. Leadership changes direction. Women leaders approach ESG differently. They see it not as an obligation, but as a strategic leadership tool. Throughout this presentation, I will share how this mindset shifts ESG from reporting to real impact, and what project managers can learn from it. For many organizations, ESG reporting is still primarily about compliance. Investors and regulators ask, what happened? And companies respond with historical data, indicators, and disclosures. But reporting, by definition, looks backward. It explains performance after decisions have already been made. What is often missing is the forward-looking question. What should we do differently? Leadership begins where reporting ends. Women leaders treat ESG not as a checklist, but as a strategic lens. They integrate environmental, social, and governance considerations into decision-making processes before investments are approved, before suppliers are selected, before projects are launched. Instead of asking, how will this affect our ESG score, they ask, how will this decision shape our long-term value, resilience, and impact? As a result, organizations do not merely perform well on paper. They position themselves for sustainable competitiveness and long-term value creation. One of the strongest leadership traits frequently demonstrated by women leaders in sustainability is inclusive decision-making. Inclusive leadership goes beyond simply inviting diverse voices into the room. It means actively integrating different perspectives into how decisions are shaped, risks are evaluated, and trade-offs are managed. Sustainability challenges are complex and interconnected. Environmental risks affect communities. Social issues influence supply chains. Governance decisions shape long-term trust. No single function or department can solve these challenges alone. Inclusive leaders recognize this systemic reality. They foster dialogue across departments, encourage transparency, and create space for constructive disagreement. This not only strengthens trust, but also improves the quality of strategic decisions. Research consistently shows that diverse and inclusive teams are more innovative and better at navigating uncertainty. In sustainability, where long-term consequences matter, this capability is critical. For project managers, this offers a clear lesson. ESG metrics alone do not create impact. Collaboration does. When stakeholders are engaged early, when risks are discussed openly, and when different perspectives are genuinely considered, ESG ambitions translate into real-world outcomes. Building on this inclusive and systemic leadership approach, sustainability projects reveal their true complexity. Sustainability projects are inherently cross-functional, multi-stakeholder, and long-term in impact. They operate within interconnected systems, where environmental, social, financial, and reputational risks influence one another. Managing scope, time, and cost alone is no longer sufficient. Today's project managers must also understand environmental and social impacts, anticipate regulatory and stakeholder expectations, navigate uncertainty and evolving standards, and engage stakeholders early and continuously. In other words, project leadership must evolve alongside ESG expectations. This is where the leadership patterns frequently demonstrated by women leaders, systemic thinking, inclusion, and long-term orientation, offer a practical model. These are not abstract values, they're operational capabilities. When project managers adopt this approach, ESG stops being a reporting requirement at the end of a project. It becomes a decision-making framework at the beginning, and that shift changes outcomes. ESG metrics are essential. They provide transparency, comparability, and accountability. They establish a baseline and make performance visible. But metrics alone do not change behavior. Real impact begins when sustainability moves beyond measurement and becomes embedded in how decisions are made, how trade-offs are evaluated, and how success is defined. Embedding sustainability means shifting from reporting performance to shaping performance. Women leaders frequently demonstrate this shift. They do not treat ESG as an external reporting framework. They integrated it into strategy, operations, and culture. This happens through three interconnected leadership strategies: aligning sustainability with core business strategy, championing social value creation, and driving cultural transformation. Together, these strategies move ESG from documentation to direction, from reporting to leadership in action. First strategy is alignment. Sustainability initiatives create real impact only when they are directly connected to core business priorities: growth, competitiveness, innovation, and risk management. When sustainability operates in parallel to strategy, it remains peripheral. When it is integrated into strategy, it becomes transformative. Alignment ensures visibility, executive ownership, and long-term commitment. For example, reducing carbon emissions is not only an environmental objective. It can drive operational efficiency, reduce costs, strengthen regulatory readiness, and stimulate innovation. Once sustainability goals are framed in terms of business value, they move from obligation to opportunity. Leaders who successfully embed sustainability do not ask, how do we report this? They ask, how does this strengthen our business model? For project managers, alignment is critical. Projects that are clearly linked to strategic priorities are easier to justify, better resourced, and more likely to gain stakeholder support. When sustainability objectives are embedded into project charters, procurement decisions, and performance criteria from the outset, they translate into measurable and lasting impact. Alignment turns sustainability from a separate initiative into a strategic driver of performance. The second strategy is championing social value. Women leaders frequently position social value creation as a core pillar of sustainability, not as a secondary or reputational concern, but as a strategic priority. This includes advancing diversity and inclusion, strengthening workforce engagement, building long-term community partnerships, and ensuring responsible supply chain practices. These initiatives are not symbolic. When embedded into operations, they influence talent attraction, innovation capacity, stakeholder trust, and organizational resilience. Social value strengthens what is often called the organization's license to operate. In an environment of increasing transparency and stakeholder scrutiny, trust becomes a strategic asset. Importantly, social impact and business performance are not opposing forces. They are mutually reinforcing. Organizations that invest in people, equity, and community relationships tend to demonstrate stronger engagement, lower turnover, greater adaptability, and more sustainable growth trajectories. For project managers, this means that stakeholder engagement is not a communication task. It is a value creation process. When social considerations are integrated early into planning, procurement, risk assessment, and team composition, projects deliver not only outputs, but legitimacy and long-term impact. Championing social value turns sustainability from a compliance narrative into a credibility strategy. The third strategy is driving cultural change. Policies can define expectations, procedures can formalize standards, but culture determines behavior. Sustainable transformation does not happen because a policy exists. It happens because people consistently make decisions aligned with shared values. Women leaders frequently recognize that sustainability must live in everyday action. How risks are escalated, how trade-offs are evaluated, how teams collaborate, and how accountability is reinforced. They foster environments where transparency is encouraged. Ethical concerns can be raised without fear, and long-term thinking is valued over short-term optimization. Culture influences decisions long before they appear in a report. For project managers, this insight is critical. Projects have defined timelines. Culture does not. If sustainability exists only within project documentation, its impact ends at project disclosure. But when sustainability principles are embedded into team norms, governance routines, and performance discussions, they continue influencing decisions long after the project is delivered. Cultural change transforms sustainability from a target into a habit, and habits create lasting impact. Now let's look at some women leaders in action. Let's start with Mary Barra at General Motors. When GM committed to an all-electric future, this was not just a technology shift. It was a deep organizational transformation. Barra understood that sustainability transitions succeed or fail based on people. She focused heavily on workforce engagement, reskilling, and safety, while also working closely with suppliers to redesign the value chain. Instead of treating ESG as a reporting requirement, she embedded it into strategic decisions: how vehicles are designed, how factories operate, and how suppliers are selected. Under her leadership, the electric vehicle transition became a business strategy aligned with long-term value creation, not a sustainability side project. Emma Walmsley's leadership at GSK provides a powerful example from the healthcare industry. For Walmsley, ESG is inseparable from business performance. She integrated ESG principles across global operations, from supply chain responsibility to access to medicines. One of her most impactful contributions has been advancing health equity and ensuring that innovation reaches underserved populations. This approach reflects a broader understanding of sustainability, improving social outcomes while strengthening trust, resilience, and long-term competitiveness. ESG in this case is not about disclosure. It is about impact at scale. Indra Nooyi's leadership at PepsiCo is often cited as a landmark example of sustainability-led strategy. Her Performance with Purpose framework explicitly connected financial success with social and environmental responsibility. She pushed the organization to rethink product portfolios, invest in healthier options, reduce environmental footprints, and strengthen community engagement. What makes this example particularly powerful is that sustainability was positioned as a driver of long-term growth, not a constraint. Nooyi demonstrated that when ESG is embedded into strategy, it reshapes decision-making across the entire organization. Across these examples, a clear pattern emerges. ESG becomes impactful not when it is measured, but when it is led. These leaders did not delegate sustainability to departments or reports. They integrated it into capital allocation, operational systems, talent strategy, and governance. While they operate at the executive level, the underlying leadership principles are scalable. The same choices, systemic thinking, alignment, inclusion, and long-term orientation can and should be applied at the project level. Projects are where strategy becomes reality. So what does this mean for us as project managers? When we look beyond titles and industries, the examples we've seen reveal a consistent set of leadership principles. These principles are not abstract. They directly shape how projects deliver real ESG impact. The future of sustainability is not built in boardrooms alone. It is built in projects. Every investment decision, supplier selection, design change, and risk assessment shapes environmental and social outcomes. What are some key lessons for project leadership? 1. Think systematically. Understand the environmental, social, and business consequences of decisions, not just immediate deliverables. And second, engage stakeholders early and inclusively. In complex systems, late engagement creates resistance. Early engagement creates ownership. And the third, translate values into operational decisions. Sustainability must influence procurement criteria, risk registers, KPIs, and governance reviews. And the last, measure success beyond short-term KPIs. Long-term value, resilience, and trust are strategic outcomes, not side effects. When these principles are applied consistently, ESG projects stop being symbolic initiatives. They become engines of long-term value creation. The future is not shaped by reports. It is shaped by decisions made inside projects. Beyond leadership narratives and case examples, research provides strong supporting evidence. Studies by McKinsey and Company consistently show that companies with higher representation of women in leadership roles are significantly more likely to outperform their peers financially. Their findings also indicate stronger performance on ESG and sustainability metrics in gender-diverse organizations. This is not coincidental. Diverse leadership teams tend to demonstrate broader risk awareness, stronger stakeholder sensitivity, and more balanced decision-making, capabilities that are critical in managing complex sustainability transitions. In addition, research highlighted by Harvard Business Review suggests that women leaders more frequently adopt long-term, collaborative, and stakeholder-oriented perspectives. In sustainability, short-term optimization is often the problem. Long-term orientation is the solution. Taken together, the evidence is clear. Gender-diverse leadership is not only an ethical or social imperative. It is a strategic advantage. It strengthens governance. It improves resilience, and it enhances the organization's ability to translate ESG ambition into measurable and lasting impact. The future of sustainability will be shaped less by reporting frameworks and more by leadership choices. Reporting provides structure. It creates transparency and comparability, but frameworks alone do not transform organizations. Transformation happens when sustainability is embedded into strategy, culture, capital allocation, governance, and daily decision-making. Women leaders demonstrate that this shift is possible. When sustainability becomes part of how organizations define value, manage risk, and evaluate success, ESG moves from compliance to competitive advantage. This represents the next evolution of ESG, from disclosure to direction, from measurement to management, from reporting to transformation. The organizations that will lead in the coming decade will not necessarily be those with the most comprehensive reports, but those with the clearest leadership commitments, and that commitment is expressed through decisions. Let us return to the question we began with. If ESG reports disappeared tomorrow, would sustainability still live in your organization? ESG reporting helps us understand where we are. Leadership determines where we go. Reports describe performance. Leadership shapes direction. Real impact emerges when sustainability guides decisions, behaviors, and project execution. Women leaders demonstrate that inclusive, systemic, and long-term leadership produces stronger ESG outcomes, not because they report better, but because they lead differently. For project managers, this is a call to action. We are not only delivering projects, we are shaping environmental outcomes, social trust, and long-term value. Moving beyond ESG reporting means choosing to lead with purpose, courage, and accountability. Because the future of sustainability is not written in reports, it is built in decisions, and that is where real impact truly begins. Thank you for your time and attention. If there is one thought I invite you to carry forward, it is this. Sustainability does not begin with reporting. It begins with leadership. The frameworks will continue to evolve. The metrics will become more sophisticated. But real impact will always depend on the choices leaders make and the decisions project managers implement every day. I look forward to continuing this conversation and exploring how we can move beyond ESG disclosure toward meaningful, measurable, and lasting impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eileen. That was very insightful.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. And by the way, Eileen is joining us from Turkey. So, okay, good. Let me see if there's any question. Thank you, Eileen. I love how you really focus on how projects are key to strategy. Truly appreciate your insights.
Thank
And
you,
that was from Emily. And then from Diana Dennis, thank you for the presentation. Maybe it's a bit out of context, but may I get Miss Eileen's thoughts on carbon credits in general? Because this term only now getting popular in Turkey, and for me, in my head, it's coded as a fee to pay and pollute more legally. So I would really want to know what leaders as you thought about this subject.
Yes, carbon credits are a part of the sustainability issue. They are necessary as we have to make the ESG reportings and ESG all those disclosures. And here in this presentation, I wanted to focus on another topic actually. Maybe Ms. Diana Deniz can later get in contact with me and we can discuss her more as a separate issue. If it's okay.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so our next speaker is Fabiola Slongos-Viroski. Fabiola is a project manager with proven experience delivering web projects and system implementations in client-facing, remote and cross-functional environments. She specialized in turning complex operations into structured, predictable delivery systems through Agile and Kanban. Fabiola has led delivery transformations, implemented PM systems and metrics, and achieved a 20% reduction in labor costs through flow optimization and process redesign. She's experienced in PM and CRM-backed delivery, aligning projects, roadmaps, and client lifecycle management for global accounts. She brings strong governance, risk management, and stakeholder alignment for 14 plus years as a senior attorney, and now directly applied to technology and consulting contexts. She's execution focused, system oriented, and known for clarity, discipline, and follow through. So Fabiola, the title of her presentation is From Law to Tech, Embrace Change. So Fabiola, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Let me just share my screen.
Okay, great. So Fabiola is joining from Brazil.
Yeah, I'm joining from Brazil. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity. It's a great honor to talk alongside with this other powerful woman. And thank you, PMI Galicia, for having me. And let's begin. I will share with you a very personal journey that translates into a practical framework. By telling you my story, I will walk through three things. First, the reality of changing careers after 40, especially as a woman navigating global technology environments. Second, the barriers that appear when you move from an established profession into a new industry. And third, the strategies that transitions from uncertainty into real professional impact. My goal here is to show you that career change into project management is not about starting over. Any career change is. Career change is about translating experience, building systems, and delivering results that make your leadership visible. Let's begin with a simple and uncomfortable fact. Career change after 40 is not celebrated in most markets. It is questioned, especially if you are a woman, especially if you are living an established profession, and especially if you are doing it from a place like Brazil and trying to enter a global technology environment that is male dominated and English first. For 15 years, I was an attorney. I've managed over 200 concurrent cases at a time. High stakes, strict deadlines, complex stakeholders, real financial and reputational risks. I built governance frameworks. I control scope. I negotiated under pressure. I delivered predictably in chaos environments. On paper, I was successful. And yet, I made a decision that looked irrational. I left law and moved into technology and project management. Not because I was lost, not because I needed a change, but because I realized something fundamental. What I actually love working with is not law, it's systems, it's execution, it's building structure when there was noise, it's turning uncertainty into coordinated action. So I transitioned, and that's when the real barriers begin. When you move from another profession into tech, you are no longer experienced. You are non technical. You are not senior. You are new. You are not established. You are transitioning. The bias is subtle, but it's constant. You are compared to younger professionals. You are evaluated against people who followed a linear path. You are treated as if your previous expertise does not count. For women, this compounds. There is age bias, there is gender bias, there is the assumption that you are trying something new, then rather than deliberate repositioning in a strategic level. So I made a decision. I would not compete on narrative. I would compete on execution. Instead of asking for credibility, I would build it through measurable results. I entered delivery environments, remote teams, global clients, cross functional coordination, fast cycles, high expectations. At first, I did what many career changers do. I tried to adapt quietly. But that approach keeps you small. The turning point came when I stopped trying to fit into tech. And instead, I brought my full background into it. From law, I already knew governance. I already knew risk anticipation. I already knew stakeholder pressure. I already knew how to manage volume without losing control. So instead of trying to be a junior technologist, I positioned myself as a system builder. I implemented project management systems where execution was informal. I've introduced Kanban flow to replace unstable Scrum practice. I built dashboards tracking lead time, cycle time, throughput, work in progress, and quality index. I aligned data with delivery commitments to prevent commercial and operational misalignment. I redesigned workflows and reduced labor costs by 20% through bottleneck elimination. Notice something important. None of this required me to code. It required discipline, it required system thinking, it required clarity under pressure. And that's the first lesson I want to share today. Barrier number one, the belief that you must start from zero when you change careers. You do not. You must translate and not erase. Most women undervalue their prior expertise when they transition careers. They attempt to become beginners. That's a mistake. The correct move is strategic translation. Ask yourself, what problems have I already solved for 10 or 15 years? What patterns have I mastered? What types of risk do I instinctively detect? What human dynamics do I understand deeply? Then reposition that knowledge into the new industry language. Law gave me structured thinking. High volume caseloads gave me throughput management experience. Court deadlines gave me non negotiable time discipline. Client negotiations gave me stakeholder alignment skills. These are core project leadership capabilities. The second barrier is credibility in a male dominated environment. In technical meetings, the fastest way to lose authority is to overcompensate, to talk more, to try to prove technical knowledge you are still building. Instead, I relied on three anchors: clarity of scope, discipline and metrics, calm under pressure. If you consistently bring meetings back to scope, risk, and measurable progress, you shift the role. Authority follows structure. I learned to say, what is the delivery impact? What is the measurable outcome? What is the constraint? What are we deprioritizing? These are not emotional interventions. They are structural ones. And structure creates respect. The third barrier is geographic. Building an international career from Brazil in an English-speaking tech market requires deliberate positioning. Fluency is not enough. Precision is required. In global environments, communication must be concise, outcome focused, free of defensiveness, centered in value. And so I discipline my communication. No over explaining, no apology language, no justification tone. When you are transitioning, insecurity leaks to your language. Eliminate it. State facts, state impact, state next action. Now I want to address something often ignored in career change conversation: identity loss. When you leave a profession you practice for 15 years, you don't just change roles. You change how people introduce you. You change how family sees you. You change how you see yourself. There is discomfort in being experienced and new at the same time. The only way through that discomfort is execution momentum. Small visible wins, systems implemented, processes stabilized, metrics improved. Confidence does not return through affirmation, it returns through delivery. Do not minimize your story, do not apologize for your age, do not compensate on enthusiasm, compete on execution. Translate your past, measure your impact, build systems, deliver consistently. Bias weakens in the presence of results, and authority when grounded in discipline becomes portable across industries, across countries, and across roles. Before I finish, I want to leave you with one final thought. Careers are often described as ladders, linear, predictable, step by step. But in reality, meaningful careers are built on more like bridges. They connect what you already know with what the world needs next. Every skill you developed, every pressure you handled, every system you learn to navigate becomes material for that bridge. The real question is not whether you can start again. The real question is whether you are willing to use everything you already know to build something new. When women do that, when we translate experience into execution, we do more than change our own careers. We expand the leadership looks like every room we enter. And that's how vision turns into victory. Thank you all. And
Thank you. Thank you so much,
uh,
Fabiola. Um,
thank you.
that was a very good presentation and related to your experience. So thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that experience with us. Let me see if I see. Yeah, from Emily. Fabiola, this was incredible, inspiring. I admire your courage to transition sectors. Truly. Many, many thanks. So
thank you.
I was thinking the same. You moved from two very different industries, and that was very courageous. Carelli
Thank you.
says, love how you visualize for us that we don't start from the ground when we bet to change courses. Indeed, we are not juniors. We are built with all our previous experiences, and there's a real value that we bring to the table with our insights. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Very good.
that's the
Thank you.
point.
Okay. Good. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. So now we go to our next speaker, who's Emily Cormier. She is an energy and business professional with over 14 years of experience across Canada's public, private, and nonprofit sectors. She currently leads sustainability initiatives for the city of Sault Ste. Marie and teaches international business and global relations part-time at Algoma University as part of the Faculty of Business and Economics. She's a certified PMP, and Emily has worked on community projects that have received recognition locally, nationally, and internationally. Emily is also deeply committed to community service, serving as a board director with the Sault Area Hospital and Algoma Community Legal Aid Clinic, and previously as an evaluator for the PMI's PMO Global and Eric P. Jeanette Awards. So the title of Emily's presentation is Moral Strategic Leadership, a compass for delivering projects that matter. So over to you, Emily.
Thank you, Nellie. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here.
Okay. I'll let you know. Yeah, we can see it now.
And is
Yes.
it's just the slide, it's not the notes,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. It's perfect.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
excellent. Very, very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nellie. Happy International Women's Day, everyone. I am joining you today from Canada, specifically Northern Ontario, Canada. So for those who are familiar with Toronto, you basically go 8 hours north by car. Um, I am a project manager, as Nellie mentioned, and today I'm going to dive into a concept that I learned a little bit about 3 years ago from a speech given by Mia Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, at the 78th General Assembly speeches at the United Nations. But before I dive in, I'm going to talk a little bit about my work. It's been incredibly inspiring to hear Aylin's presentation as another project manager working in the sustainability space. As Nellie mentioned in my bio, I do work in sustainability and I have for many years. Um, And sustainability, as I say here on my slide, it's not the easiest of professions, especially in the current climate. You do have to walk a bit of a tightrope and position how you're selling your projects and find that balance between urgency and resistance, cost and impact, and those short-term pressures and long-term responsibilities. Um, I do feel very privileged to do this work because I get to get up every day and feel like I'm actually making an impact on the world. And in these types of circumstances, moral strategic leadership, which I'm going to speak to you about today, becomes so essential for project success. And this is my why. This is why I do what I do. So just building on all of us as project managers, we are often known as the doers. And we are not just doers, as many of my fellow presenters have said today, we are leaders. When it comes to expertise in project management, technical skills, which many of us are engineers or subject matter experts in our areas, it's simply not enough. Key pieces really are that communication, not only speaking clearly, but having good listening abilities as well. Courage, the courage to push beyond the status quo, go against the grain, and having that emotional intelligence to understand how your stakeholders think, how they react to really get our projects done on time, on budget, of course. And these are really non negotiables when it comes to project execution beyond our subject matter expertise. As many of my fellow presenters today have said, stakeholders and relationship building are a really big piece of project management. Lots of conflict, again, in the sustainability space, that constant battle between the bottom line and honestly, profit and making the world a better place. So having those abilities to communicate clearly is so important. Creating that psychological safety, so that environment where your resources or the different groups that you're working with feel confident to do the work. And speaking truthfully in those high stakes rooms where maybe politics is at play, again, in the current environment globally, this has never been more critical. So as a project manager, I find that having that roadmap, those numbers to back up and substantiate your work is really critical to my success in the sustainability space. So before I dive into more about what is moral strategic leadership, I'd like you all to ponder, for a minute about, have you ever delivered a project successfully, which I'm sure all of us have, but wondered, did it matter? Like, did it truly matter? And that's where leading with that moral compass comes into play. So, over the past 14 years, I've had the opportunity to work in the Canadian private, nonprofit, and public sector, and I've worked with countless stakeholders. And moral strategic leadership has become so essential in this world that we're balancing, trust deficits, inequality, and just a continuingly uncertain climate. What I've come to learn is that projects are no longer neutral. They actually shape the communities, the economies, and the futures of those involved. And delivery is not enough. And like some of my fellow presenters have said, impact truly matters. As I alluded to in the beginning of my presentation today, my understanding of moral responsibility really came into view when I listened to Mia Motley's speech, which I've linked here and also will be in my last slide for those who'd like to give it a listen on YouTube. Even just give it a Google. It's so inspiring. This took place in 2023 at the General Assembly. And amongst the many speeches that took place, hers really rose about the concept of moral strategic leadership, and it spoke to a call to action about responsibility woven into the fabric of global climate action. And it really spoke about her not only as a politician but as a moral strategist. So without further ado, what is moral strategic leadership? Mia expressed this in her speech as a need for collective action with moral compass guiding every decision. It transcends that conventional notion of power and authority, and a steadfast commitment to the principles of justice, fairness, and inclusivity in this ever complex geopolitical challenging world. It's about merging ethical principles with strategic vision and implementation, making decisions that not only serve the short term, but defend fundamental interests and address long term sustainability, prioritizing the well being of all stakeholders, including future generations, which again is so pivotal rather to sustainability work, over self interest, navigating uncertainty with integrity, transparency, and a deep sense of accountability. It really fosters innovation, challenging conventional wisdom, empowering voices that have been traditionally silenced, and leaving no one behind. In the work that I do in energy, diversity, equity, and inclusion are absolutely paramount to moral strategic leadership. So again, moral strategic leadership, drilling down into the nitty gritties, it's moving beyond that traditional strategic leadership as a competitive advantage and looking more at moral strategic leadership as a sustainable value. It's not soft, it's disciplined, and it balances delivery with responsibility. So, speaking today as we are from vision to victory, it takes that vision to strategy, impact, and legacy. And really, today as project managers, we have to navigate increased complexity. We're constantly balancing different stakeholder interests, thinking long term, and also leading with rational, logical intelligence. And this, in my experience, is moral strategy in action. As I mentioned, and Nellie in my introduction, bio rather, I've worked across different sectors in Canada. I started out in the private sector, and here, you really are speaking to balancing return on investment, ROI, versus responsibility, and this can cause a bit of tension. I have worked in the nonprofit sector where you've got those value driven constraints. And most recently in the public sector, I work for a municipality leading their sustainability portfolio. You have that complexity and that balance between policy and governance. What's key here, and what has been echoed by many of my fellow presenters today, is that need to lead your projects with authenticity. Be yourself and integrity, and push to dare to choose responsible delivery over easy delivery. And that can be tough as project managers because we are focused on getting it done under budget if we can, and on time at least, if not under time. But dare to be different. And as Nellie mentioned, I teach part-time at a university, and I always tell my students, no one remembers the quiet ones. And maybe you'll get a bit of pushback, like Fabiola was mentioning in her presentation, about jumping sectors. But who cares? If you can go to bed at night and you can be proud of the work that you did and leading with integrity, you'll get up in the morning and be able to continue doing the tough work that you're doing. So I used to sit on a board, and I recently stepped down to give someone else a chance, called Step Up. It's based in Toronto, and it's a nonprofit, a national nonprofit in Canada, helping advance women in the energy space. And I wrote a thought piece on moral strategic leadership and identified 5 key practices. And they really speak to blurring that line from being just a project manager to a leader. And they are inclusive decision making, education capacity building, community empowerment, accountability, and leading by example. And I'm going to dive into all of these in my next couple of slides. And again, I reiterate, these are not ideals. These are operational practices that I encourage you to take into the projects that you all deliver going forward. So, starting with inclusive decision making, this is ensuring representation in that decision making process. So when you're building your projects and your resource groups, make sure you're valuing perspectives from all stakeholders, including marginalized communities, and here in Canada, in particular, Indigenous peoples. Make sure you invest in that education and training, fostering that culture of continuous learning and development, and providing opportunities for underrepresented groups to thrive and pull them up, if you will. Envision a rope and giving somebody a chance. In the energy industry, specifically through things like scholarships, mentorship programs, and vocational training. Representation matters, even in steering committees. Inclusion changes project outcomes, and ask yourself, who is not in the room when we define project success? Maybe they should be. Number 3 and 4, empowerment and accountability. Empowering local communities. Prioritize those community-led initiatives. In decentralized energy solutions, we need to empower local communities to create economic opportunities and be resilient to climate impacts. I know I have a bias because I work in sustainability, but climate change will impact all of us. And I like to say every job is a climate job because it's going to impact us all. So start with that grassroots level. Be accountable for your actions. Advocate for transparent reporting mechanisms. Building on what Aylin was mentioning, reporting is important, but also what I said, have your backup, have your numbers. Adhere to those ethical standards, in particular when it comes to energy production and consumption. Community buy-in determines longevity, transparency builds stress, and project managers, we are the guardians of governance. Number 5 is leading by example. And this is really particularly important today on International Women's Day for women project managers. We are visible symbols of possibility. Even though it's 2026, it is still a field where we are, it is traditionally male dominated, and we are those symbols for the future generations of women in the project management discipline. Leadership is culture in action. We can do this in areas such as hiring, supplier diversity, speaking up, and again, modeling integrity. And one of the great things about leadership is that it is contagious. And so if you lead with that, your resources, your teams, your stakeholders, partners will do the same. So all of us are already leading projects that matter. Ask yourself, when you start your next project or you start planning, what values are guiding your decisions? Not only your corporate values, but your why, what you bring to the table as a project manager. Who's going to benefit from your projects? And this is even good when you're doing visioning, etc. It's not about just getting something done. Think about that long-term impact, what legacy you are building beyond this project, etc. So Mia Mottley, again, the Prime Minister of Barbados, ended her 2023 United Nations General Assembly address by an excellent quote by Nelson Mandela, which I have here on the screen. You're welcome to read it. Perhaps I will as well. Action without vision is only passing time. Vision without action is merely daydreaming, but vision with action can change the world. As project managers, you are not just delivering milestones. You are all shaping futures. So I end my presentation today by saying, let us lead with strategy. Let us lead with courage. And above all, let us lead with that moral compass. I'll end with a couple of books. I'm an avid audiobook person. I have a pile of books on my nightstand that I wish I could read, but just don't have the time. But I encourage you all to take a look here. And some of these speak to some of the things myself and my fellow speakers, I think, have addressed. And please never stop learning. I've also linked a couple of links here to understand, ethical leadership, moral leadership, and why it matters. So again, I would like to just thank so much to the PMI Galicia Spain Institute. Thank you a million times over for the opportunity to speak to you today on International Women's Day from Canada. I am trilingual, so thank you, merci, gracias. And I'll turn it over to any questions, should there be any. Thank you so much for your attention today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emily. That was I love your passion, and I love your theme. The moral leadership, strategic leadership is a very, very important topic for us as a project managers. I have a comment here from Fabiola. Emily, love your presentation. Let's connect. And let me see. Love the book recommendations from Karelis. Kisem says, very inspiring. Thank you for presentation and the book suggestions. And Diana, thank you for the amazing presentation. So yeah, thank you so much, Emily. Okay, if there is no other question, I will proceed with our next speaker today. And we have Josefina Alonso Nocelo. Josefina is a senior IT engineer with over 20 years of experience focused on software engineer, industrial innovation, and quality management. She's currently serving as the COO at Digigal. She coordinates digital transformations projects within the Galician industrial sector, bridging the gap between advanced technology and practical industrial applications. Her core competencies include agile methodologies, digital transformation, and community engagement. In 2025, she was distinguished with the Ada Byron Award by the Official College of Computer Engineering of Galicia. This recognition celebrates her consistent professional path and her dedication to advancing the field of computer science in the region. She's an MS in computer science from the University of Vigo, two functional safety engineer certification, and a certified lean IT and agile professional. So over to you, Josefina. Thank you. And Josefina
Thank
is joining
you.
from Spain.
From Spain, from the northwest of Spain, from Galicia. Yeah. Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, the organizers and everyone here today. It's not easy to be connected on a Sunday, so I truly appreciate your presence and your commitment. It's a real honor to be invited, and it's a pleasure to share this panel with such talented professionals and presentations. First of all, I would like to talk about looking at the world we live in today. It's a world that it's changing every day, sometimes in ways that we don't expect. Projects are no longer simple or predictable. We often work with different teams across different countries and different time zones. Sometimes we wake up to a new challenge that force us to rethink our plans. For example, imagine a team working on a new product. They have a plan, they have a timeline, and they have a clear goal. But suddenly, what happens? The market changes. Maybe a competitor launches something similar, or a new regulation, or something happens. The team has to adapt fast, talk to each other, and find a new solution. This is many of us. Then uncertainty is now part of our daily lives and part of our projects. Plans change over the night. Priorities can shift in a single meeting. Sometimes we feel pressure to deliver results quickly, even when things around us are not clear. This is very stressful, but it also pushes us to grow and to find a new way to succeed. For example, in my case, I remember a time when on my own team faced a big change. At first, we were very lost. But what we do, we try to come together to share ideas and to support each other, and we found a new direction. Then, how we manage this uncertainty that we have? We have several ways to manage this uncertainty. And just want to talk about two. One is the AI and the other is the agile. To help us deal with this complexity and this uncertainty, we use tools like artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is everywhere now. It helps us understand data, predict risks, automatize tasks that used to take hours or days. For example, in project management, AI can analyze thousands of data points to show us where problems might appear. It can help us make better decisions, better and faster decisions. Agile is another tool that help us work in a changing world like where we are. Agile means working in short cycles, getting feedback quickly, and improving our work step by step. Instead of waiting until the end of a project to see if it works, we check our process all the times and make changes as needed. We use AI with the team to identify which parts of the project might have problems. And with Agile, with the framework, with project management, AI, we can change direction quickly and fix issues before they grow. These tools make our work easier and help us to manage the uncertainty. But even with these powerful tools, I think in my opinion, that something is missing. What is missing? AI can help us to do things faster and smarter, but they cannot give us meaning or purpose. They cannot build trust or help us understand each other's feelings. Then this is where leadership comes. Leadership, I think it's the word that my colleagues, Emily, Fabiola, said a lot, and Eileen. Leadership is what makes the difference between a good project and a great one. It's about guiding people, listening, supporting each other. It's about values like honesty, respect, and courage. And when I say people, I mean men and women together, working together, sharing our strengths, our ideas, and our experiences. Projects succeed when everyone is included and valued. Diversity makes teams stronger and solutions better. Let me give you an example. Imagine a project where everything is going wrong. The deadlines are tight, the team is tired, and the client isn't happy. In this situation, a good leader doesn't just focus on the problems. Instead, they talk openly with the team, listen to everyone's worries, and helps people to find solutions together. They remind the team of the bigger purpose and help everyone to stay motivated. Then the future of leadership is human. It's not, we are not able to do with AI this humanity, the empathy, the collaboration, the purpose, and the courage is not prepared and it's not managed with AI. It's human. Empathy, it means understanding how others feels and caring about their well-being. When someone on the team is struggling, a good leader notices and offers support. This can be a simple asking, how are you? How are you doing? Do you need help? Or giving someone time to rest when it's needed. Another important value is collaboration. Projects succeed when people work together. people, men and women, work together, share ideas, and help each other. No one has all the answers. By listening to different opinions and respecting everyone's contributions, we create strong teams and better results. Purpose is what gives our meaning. It's the reason we do what we do. When a team understands the purpose behind the project, they are motivated and committed. They know that their work matter, not just to the company, but to the real people, to the colleagues, to other colleagues in other companies too. Courage is also essential. Sometimes we have to make difficult decisions and try new things that might not work. Courage means taking risks, learning from mistakes, and not giving up when things get thought. Then AI changes what we manage. Agile changes how we lead, but leaderships defines why it matters. Then what means AI can give us a lot of data and information. Yes, and it's very useful. It can help us to use patterns, predict risks, and automatize activities. But AI cannot give us humanity. It cannot give us value. It cannot help us understand each other's feelings. Then only people, men and women together, can give or can bring empathy, kindness, and ethical judgment to our projects. Only people can create meaning. Only people can inspire others and make sure that our work is not just efficient, but also fair and respectful. Let's think, for example, about a group of people helping after a storm, a big storm. They use technology to organize resources and communicate quickly. But what really makes a difference is their kindness, their willingness to help, and their ability to work together under pressure. Technology is important, yes, but it's people who bring hope and make the real change. Or consider, for example, a team launching a new project to come into a more management scenario, project management scenario. The data and the tools help the team plan, but their creativity, their passion, and their teamwork that turns an idea into something valuable is human. Leadership is not about being the boss or having all the answers. It's about inspiring, creating trust, and helping everyone to do their best. It's about make sure that even in the most complex and uncertain scenario or project or moment, people always come first. Then technology accelerates our projects. Yes, sure, but human leaderships, men and women, gives them direction, meaningful, and impact. As we look to the future, in my opinion, our greatest strength is in our humanity. Technology will keep evolving, new tools will appear, I'm sure, but the heart of every project is the people, men and women together, who made it happen. Let's lead with empathy by caring for each other and understanding different points of view. Let's work together with purpose, knowing that our work can make real difference. And let's have the courage to face challenges, learn from our mistakes and keep moving forward. Each project is an opportunity for us to grow, to connect, and to create something with purpose. When we put the people at the center, we build not just better projects, we build a better world. Thank you very much for your attention and your commitment. And happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Josefina. Definitely, the human resource is our asset number one in any project. So this was very strong and very insightful eh, presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me see if there's any question. No. Okay. Okay, a lot of hearts and clapping hands. So thank you. Okay, so our last speaker for today is Amanda Palazon. So Amanda is a CEO and founder of the group IMM, a leading Spanish consulting group specializing change management and organizational transformation. She is an international expert in human-centered change, leadership transformation, and cultural adoption of strategic projects. Amanda is the creator of the Positive Change Management Approach and Executive Speakers. She works with organizations to professionalize change, empower leaders, and ensure sustainable transformation. So Amanda presentation, the name of her presentation is The Purple Economy in this Transformative Era Presents an Opportunity for Innovative Leaderships. Amanda, she will present in Spanish. She feels more confident presenting in Spanish, but I will be assisting her translating her presentation. So, Amanda, puedes empezar. Over to you.
Thank you, everyone. The first things that I want to do is thank for the allowing me to be here today on such an special day as March 8th. Thank you, the Project Manager Institute Galicia, for trusting me to be part of this day. Before I begin, I would like to apologize and continue in Spanish. While I can communicate in English, I believe I will be able to share my ideas more clearly and with greater nuance in my native language. I would also like to sincerely thank Nelly and Nieve for their support and encouragement. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and please don't apologize because you're speaking in Spanish. We are a global team here, so it's perfectly normal. So yeah. Okay, puedes empezar.
Bueno, pues empezando por un contexto, por poner contexto, principalmente un concepto que hace años creé que era la economía del cambio. Y en la economía del cambio fundamentalmente tiene dos principios. Uno son las personas y dos, la adaptabilidad. Tanto Josefina como Emily he podido escuchar la importancia de las personas y creo que aquí vamos a ir totalmente en línea.
Okay, well, as you can see in the slide, she's saying that economic exchange has two principles: the experience of individuals and adaptability as a catalyst. So she says she's in line with the previous presentations from Josefina and Emily.
Vamos a empezar por las personas y el concepto de economía violeta. La economía violeta introduce ya la dimensión humana en la economía. Es muy importante tener ese talento sin etiquetas, que es una frase que me gusta mucho de Virginia Ródenas. Ella es la directora comercial de Envera, que es la fundación de Iberia. y que al final lo importante es precisamente incluir la perspectiva de género, incluir la diversidad en la toma de decisiones. La economía violeta lo que hace es introducir los conceptos claramente de igualdad, accesibilidad, que es un concepto que me gusta mucho, y el impacto humano.
Apart from what is in the slide, Amanda just said that she likes a message from Virginia Rodenas, who's the director of Envera and Ibera Foundation, that says talent is beyond labels. And in the purple economy is based in 3 principles: equality, accessibility, and the influence of humanity.
El liderazgo y el cambio de mentalidad es algo en lo que hay que invertir claramente. El intangible va a ser el gran valor estratégico. De hecho, ya en empresas y consultoras como Standard Poor's 500 están invirtiendo en aquellas empresas donde se identifica que hay inversión y se promueve la marca, la cultura, el talento, el conocimiento, la reputación interna. Son temas que están poniendo en valor a las organizaciones. Se habla que va a duplicar el valor de la organización.
Yeah, so on the most important mindset is through the intangible assets. So there are already research from S&P that those organizations that promotes the brand, reputation, expertise, culture, and human resources will be able to contribute twice their value of from the tangible assets across the value chain.
Me gusta en días como esto explicar que no es una cuestión de hombres o mujeres, sino que somos complementarios, que hemos venido no a competir, sino a colaborar, y que si no lo queremos hacer por convicción, pues los datos hacen que somos mucho más rentables cuando trabajamos juntos en esa diversidad. McKinsey nos proporciona el dato de el 39% somos más competitivos cuando somos diversos en nuestras organizaciones.
So what she wants to bring here, the importance of women and men not competing, but collaborating and working together because we are complementary. A study from McKinsey, it says that from 1,265 companies across 23 countries, the gender diversity within management teams is 39%.
Otro dato es que cuando... perdón. Otro
No,
dato es que cuando...
yeah, you can continue.
cuando
Sorry, Amanda, perdimos la presentación. Si puedes volver a
Sí, sí.
hacerle share, por favor.
Sí.
Ok.
¿Así?
Sí, sí.
Otro dato interesante es que cuando la mujer interviene en innovación, que va a ser un elemento relevante en la competitividad, aumenta la rentabilidad hasta un 30%.
Okay. Yeah, this is a very interesting fact that from a study from Peterson, when women intervene in leadership roles, the company at least increases 30% of their net profitability.
Otro dato que me parece relevante es la toma de decisiones. Cuando tenemos equipos diversos, tomamos mejores decisiones, fíjense, hasta un 87% de los casos.
Yeah, and another fact from Harvard Business School says that when there are diverse teams, it can have as many as 87% of success on their decision making.
Este dato lo encontré estudiando datos sobre los PMI y el liderazgo femenino y me ha sorprendido porque a pesar de que no existe ningún dato que diga que los hombres o las mujeres tienen, por ser hombre o mujer, mejores éxitos en la dirección de proyectos, sin embargo, el ratio en la dirección de proyectos es 3/1. Se triplican los hombres como directores de proyectos sobre las mujeres.
Yeah, this was while Amanda was searching in studies around PMI studies, and she found that even that it was not demonstrated that that the men or woman-led projects were more successful, what she found is that there is a ratio of 3-1 across all major industries where male project managers outnumber the female counterparts.
Ahora me gustaría poner en valor algunas directoras de proyectos que me gustan especialmente por sus éxitos. Nelly Bly, periodista de investigación, ella dio la vuelta al mundo en 72 días. Julio Verne incluso se rió de ella en público diciendo que a ver si era capaz de disminuir el tiempo que él había escrito. Lo consiguió, 8 días.
So now Amanda wants to go through a few of success project managers in the history. And the first one that she's bringing up is Nelly Bly, who was an investigative reporter. And in 1889, she managed to go around the world 8 days fewer than Julio Verne, Jules Verne. And he even before that he made jokes about her going through this global circumnavigation, and she did it. She managed to do it.
Ana Yaroslavna me gusta especialmente porque ella se casa con Enrique I de Francia y cuando llega crea un puente entre lo que era el feudalismo y lo que era la evolución. Era una mujer muy evolucionada para su tiempo, introduce el tenedor, en ese momento comían con las manos, ella es la que introduce el tenedor en la corte francesa y incluso él la apoya tanto que llega a hablar de ella como su socia de poder.
Okay, the next one is Anna Yaroslavna, a queen consort of France. She was the King Henry I wife, and she presented or she created what was the fork. She created a fork for the French court for the first time. She was a very educated person, and she even at the end she was incorporated into the government, so she was serving as a partner in authority. So at that time, you can imagine a woman that managed to get at that level of decision making. It's amazing.
Lisa Meitner, científica, descubrió un elemento químico que está en la tabla periódica. Fue nominada 29 veces al Premio Nobel de Física. Fue nominada 19 veces al Premio Nobel de Química y nunca se lo dieron.
Amanda, volvimos a perder tu presentación. Okay, so the next one is Liz Meitner, was a scientific, and she was the first to elucidate nuclear fission. She received 29 nominations for Nobel Prize in Physics and 19 for chemistry, and she never got the Nobel Prize.
Otra persona, otra mujer que pudo ser incluso la visionaria de inteligencia artificial, de la actual inteligencia artificial, la hija de Lord Byron, y que creó el primer algoritmo concebido y procesado por una máquina en 1843.
Ada Lovelace. She was the first programmer in history. She was the daughter of Lord Byron, and we can say that she was the visionary before AI, because she created the first algorithm intended to be processed by machines, by computers in 1843.
La siguiente me gusta especialmente porque rompe el mito de que se puede ser inteligente y guapa. Y esta es Heidi Lamar, en el que además de ser actriz de Hollywood, es la precursora de ese salto de frecuencia que se utilizó para la Wi-Fi, Bluetooth y el GPS, tal y como se conoce en la actualidad.
The next one is Hedy Lamar, who demonstrated that you can be intelligent and beautiful at the same time. She developed the frequency hopping system during World War II. And her patent established the technology foundation for contemporary Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. She was the first woman awarded the Bull Bigness Award.
Nuestras directoras españolas de proyecto, que madre e hija, que fueron las inventoras de la fregona. Cambiaron absolutamente nuestra forma de, bueno, sobre todo la de nuestras madres, eso de estar fregando en el suelo de rodillas, y ellas lograron que se incorporaran, y bueno, dicen que hay más fregonas en los hogares que televisiones en la actualidad.
So Julia this is a success, and it comes from Spanish women, Julia Montes and Julia Rodriguez Maribona, mother and daughter, and they patented the first mop as we know it today. So the first mop that has a stick, it's in a stick, so you don't need to be kneeling to clean. And it says today the mop is found in 97% of households globally. So it was a very big project, and it has been successful through all the years. And Amanda also added that the mop today is more extensively in households more than TVs. So you can imagine the success of this project of these two women.
Para cerrar el bloque de directoras de proyectos, quiero cerrar con Naraj Mohammadi. Ella es activista y periodista iraní. Le dieron el Premio Nobel de la Paz en 2023 y no pudo recogerlo porque está condenada a 12 años de cárcel y ha recibido 154 latigazos, y en la actualidad incluso está con enfermedades musculares debido al encarcelamiento. Sin embargo, ella sigue luchando por los derechos de la mujer, que son derechos humanos.
Our next project manager, success project manager, is Narges Mohammadi, activist and journalist from Iran. And she advocates for women's rights in Iran. And as you can see, after she suffers sentence and 154 lashes, she continues to work for women's rights in Iran. Yeah. Amazing.
Lo que nos hace pensar que qué sentido tiene no aprovechar el talento femenino cuando la población femenina es el 49,7% de la población. No tiene ningún sentido.
Yeah, so the next, Amanda, volvimos a perder tu presentación, disculpa. So that makes us think about why we are not leveraging women. If we are talking about 49.7% of the population right now.
Y ahora al segundo elemento de la economía del cambio. El primero, la persona; el primero, la importancia del talento femenino; y ahora, adaptabilidad.
So now the second element, the first one was the individual and the woman capacity to do projects, and the second one is adaptability.
Hace 14 años que fundé el Instituto de Gestión del Cambio, y hace 9 que fundé el Observatorio de Gestión del Cambio. Y fue a causa que vi que efectivamente entraba esa economía del cambio, la era digital y la necesidad clara de tener un nuevo liderazgo, un liderazgo transformador y de tener equipos profesionales orientados y dedicados 100% a la gestión del cambio.
So it has 14 years that Amanda started with Change Management Institute, and the most important is the transformation leadership and transformative change experts.
Para que esto sucediera es importante primero que exista gobierno del cambio.
So for this to happen, the most important is to have the change management or change governance.
Exista orden, que existan roles y responsabilidades, el portfolio de gestión del cambio.
So to have portfolio of the management of the change and have organization during the execution of the change.
El segundo gran elemento es la gestión del intangible, foco, inversión, presupuestos, tiempo, recursos a las personas y a la cultura.
So the second one is the management of intangible assets. So the focus on investment and on the human resources in order to have a proper change management.
Desde el observatorio medimos la credibilidad y la confianza de los proyectos y en la actualidad hay un 20% de credibilidad en un proceso de cambio, cuando todas las organizaciones están en grandes procesos de cambio y transformación. Solo un 20% de credibilidad.
So from the observatory, we measure the credibility of the projects, and there is only a 20% credibility of all the projects around the industries.
Para que todo esto ocurra, lo siguiente importante, hemos dicho que era el gobierno del cambio, la gestión del intangible, lo siguiente es la preparación al cambio. Hay que preparar a las organizaciones para ese cambio y para eso hemos creado el barómetro de la preparación al cambio, el índice TOMA, de tomar conciencia. La T y la O corresponden a el índice de tristeza organizacional, la M al índice de madurez para el cambio y la A el índice de la adopción. La importancia de saber cómo se siente la organización, si está estructurada como es necesario y si realmente se están adoptando los cambios.
So the barometer, they work with a barometer of change preparedness, and they call it TOMA, to take consciousness. And TOMA has 3 elements. The OT, which is the organizational discontent, identify where our organization is at an emotional level. The M indicates the maturity for change, and A talks about how we see the adoption. If the change, are we working on how it is being adopted?
Para que todo esto ocurra, desde el observatorio que hicimos, hace 14 años creamos un marco, la 5M, y también creamos una alianza con HSM Book, que es una metodología internacional. Operamos en 38 países, tiene 48 macroactividades, 240 actividades, y con ella conseguimos movilizar y poner en marcha todo ese proceso de cambio.
So we created a methodology, a pentamarco with a 5M, and we also work together with the HCM book, where we have 48 macro activities and 240 activities. It's a methodology to execute the change management process with success.
Lo siguiente fue eliminar la soledad del gestor del cambio a través de encuentros como el Congreso de Gestión del Cambio y también dar visibilidad a procesos y proyectos que están realmente bien hechos y que no se conocen. Por tanto, ahí creamos los premios a la gestión del cambio. De eso hace 12 años.
So the next was to show what are the good execution of different change managements. And they decided to create an award to show what are the key things that are done and completed when you do a change management. And it's to demonstrate the excellence on change management.
Lo siguiente, el Observatorio de Gestión del Cambio, el lugar de la comunidad, el conocimiento y el networking de los gestores del cambio. Es el ecosistema de la gestión del cambio.
Okay, the next one was to create an ecosystem of the change and to have like a networking and a community and capital knowledge to promote that change.
Luego, el estilo positivo, la visión moderna del cambio. Sabemos que la visión tradicional es que un proceso de cambio se equipara a la curva del luto. Para nosotros, un proceso de cambio es evolución, es desarrollo, es oportunidad, es crecimiento.
Amanda, volvimos a perder tu presentación, disculpa. No sé
Nada,
por qué se
disculpen
te
ustedes, no
va.
sé por
Sí.
qué. Disculpen ustedes.
So the next steps was to look at the change as something positive. Traditionally, the change is was seen as something wrong with the project. So now what they wanted to bring up was the positiveness of the change. It's something that evolves and it's something that brings development.
Lo siguiente, la disrupción elegante. Hay que hackear la cultura. Necesitamos mover y zarandear el avispero. Y por eso hay que hacer las cosas de forma diferente y disruptiva.
So the
Esto es
next
un
one
curso,
was
Nelly, este es un curso de gestión del conflicto, por ejemplo.
Oh, okay. So the next one was to disrupt, to touch the people, but in an elegant way. So she says this picture is taken from one of her courses of change management and disruption. So they try to show the changes, show different way of seeing changes in your projects. Okay.
La fórmula M. M que nos lleva a 3 elementos. Estrategia, método y enfoque humano. Las 3 tienen que estar en todos los proyectos de proceso de cambio.
So there is the methodology that they work. It has the formula M, and it has 3 elements: strategy, HCM-BOK method, and the human approach.
Y todo esto para bajarlo al terreno y que vean la realidad del uso de todo esto, les voy a contar un caso real, un caso de Mafre, que hicimos la implementación del Success Factor, que es de SAP, a 10.000 personas que son la población de Mafre, España.
So the next, she wants to show a real case, a real life case with a organization called MAPFRE that covers 10,000 people, or 10,000 people that belongs to MAPFRE, and they did a performance assessment at this organization. So
el primer paso fue gobierno, método y la preparación a la líder, que era la persona que conocía en profundidad qué querían conseguir, cuál era el objetivo y en qué consistía esa nueva forma de evaluar el desempeño.
So the first thing was to prepare the project leader and explain to her what was the different ways to now diagnose the resistance, what were the barriers of the organization, and how to proceed on executing this change.
Una vez que teníamos la foto inicial, como ha dicho Nelly, con resistencias, barreras e impacto, nos fuimos al segundo paso, ejecutar. Hicimos una obra de teatro llamada El antes y el después. Con ella representábamos, por un lado, cómo se hacía la evaluación antes del Success Factor y cómo se quería que se hiciese después del Success Factor.
So the second phase, or the second step, was to execute. And they wanted to show the before, the picture of the before and the after. And they did this by putting on a play, putting together a theater play to show everyone what was that they were executing and what was they wanted to reach.
Resultados. 1. Como decía Obama, yes we can. Al final logramos que el 80% de las personas hiciesen la evaluación del desempeño en tan solo un mes y medio frente a 4 meses que era la media habitual.
So to start looking at the results, they managed to have the people do the performance assessment in 1.5 months, which was something that they usually take 4 months to complete.
El segundo, el tamaño en el cambio, no importa, ya que lo podíamos hacer igual en un entorno de 10.000 personas que en uno de 500. Hay que hacerlo de formas diferentes, pero se puede. Rompemos el mito de que las organizaciones grandes no pueden cambiar.
The second was the size does not matter. It's a myth. So they reach a population of 10,000 people in a month and a half. So they broke that myth that they cannot reach so many people in such a short time.
El tercer resultado, nos hemos quedado con una frase de una empresa española que dice: yo no soy tonto. Esa frase lo que significa es que el 72% de las personas dijeron estar altamente satisfechos en la forma de aprendizaje y en la manera que se transmitió esa nueva manera de hacer la evaluación del desempeño.
So the third success factor, they took a phrase from a Spanish company that says, I'm not stupid. So this says that 72% of the population stated that they were satisfied with the new performance evaluation model.
El cuarto, le llevamos la contraria a Gartner. Gartner dice que el 40% de las personas vuelve a su estado original a pesar de haber implementado con éxito. Y nosotros, tras este proyecto, vimos que durante 3 años fue evolucionando y fue yendo incluso a mejor, porque iban en esa mejora continua.
The fourth success story is that they broke what Gardner says. Gardner, for this case, was wrong because Gardner says 40% of the people that does a change will always go back to their original space where they were before the change. In this case, they found out for the following 3 years, the use and quality of the new evaluation model was even growing.
Por último, les dieron un premio nacional a la mejor campaña de gestión del cambio. Lo dio Atrevia, que es una de las empresas expertas en comunicación española, con lo cual también hubo un reconocimiento nacional.
And the fifth success story is that Mafre received an award for the best company achieving change management. And this award was given by another company, nothing to do with Amanda's company, organization, and it was given by Atrevia Award.
Para terminar, las organizaciones inteligentes no desaprovechan el talento y da igual que el talento sea masculino o femenino, lo aprovechan e integran la perspectiva de género y aprovechan la diversidad.
So for as a last idea or message is that the smart organizations maximize talent using women and men in the same way. They just focus on their capacity and the excellence on their performance.
Gracias a todos y gracias por la paciencia. Y
Gracias,
gracias, Nelly.
Amanda.
Nelly,
Bueno,
en cuanto vengas a
disculpen.
España, tengo un regalo para ti.
Gracias, Amanda. Bueno, muchas gracias a todos. Gracias, Amanda. Y vamos a ver qué comentarios tienes aquí. Un momento. A ver. Thank you, Amanda. Muchas gracias. Thank you. It was amazing. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah. And a lot of clapping hands and hearts for you, Amanda. So thank you so much. This was very, very interesting. I hope everybody enjoy. I enjoyed very much. I want to thank the speakers. Obviously, all the effort you made to prepare all this presentation. Thank you so much. And thanks to all the participants and our PMI volunteers and obviously Olaya. Thank you. So before we close, for those that have the PMP certificate, you will be able to have 2 PDUs for participating in this event. You will be receiving an email with a code for your PDUs. So yeah, just wait for that email to reach you. And thank you so much. You can also please follow us. Oh, Nieve has added here some links. Please follow up us on the PMI Galicia Spain chapter. We have many, many interesting events that we invite you to participate and join. And these are our website and YouTube channel. So thank you. Olaya, anything you would like to say?
No, that thank you very much for everybody to attend this event. Thank you to the speakers and the volunteers that made it possible. Thank you, Nelly, also for the hard work as a PM for this project. And nothing else. Happy International Women's Day to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.